Jai Guruji. Anantam Shukrana Guruji for blessing us with this beautiful seva of reading as well as listening to Shivpuran. Last week we read chapter 47 of Rudra Samhita section 5. In this we read that Vyasa requested Sanat Kumara to narrate why and how Lord Shiva swallowed Shukra. To this, Sanat Kumara told Vyasa that once the battle between the armies of Andhaka and Lord Shiva started, initially the Daityas were victorious, but after due to the power of Lord Shiva, the Pramathas or the gods became victorious, and lot of Daitya leaders were slain. Seeing this, Andhaka was dejected and he sought refuge in Shukra. And after praising him greatly, he requested Shukra to help the Daityas by resuscitating or reviving the slain Daityas. Now, Shukra thought about it, and he, after thinking about it and praying to Lord Shiva, he told Andhaka that he would help them, although he got this power and this blessing by Lord Shiva, he would still go and help Andhaka and the demons because they had sought refuge in him. Because of that, he started repeating the mantra one by one, and as he kept on repeating the mantra, more and more Daityas were revived. As the Daityas revived, they roared and they attacked the Pramathas. When Pramathas saw that the slain Daityas have revived, they approached Nandin, and Nandin then went up to Lord Shiva and narrated the distress of Pramathas. Lord Shiva commanded Nandin to bring the Shukra back to Lord Shiva. So Nandin went to a place where Shukra was heavily protected by the demons. He snatched Shukra from the demons, and as he was taking Shukra to Lord Shiva, lot of leading demons, they attacked Nandin with several kinds of weapons, but Nandin destroyed all the weapons due to the fire of his mouth. And then he handed over Shukra to Lord Shiva, who instantly thrusted Shukra in his mouth like a fruit, and all the demons were left shouting, "Alas, alas." We would read how and he was swallowed with the next chapter, chapter 48, the swallowing of Shukra. Today we only have English reading, and it will be done by Alpna Aunty. Enjoy the readings. If you're also interested in participating in the reading, you could reach out to Seema Aunty or Rashmi Aunty or me. Jai Guruji, Shukrana Guruji.
Jai Guruji. Thank you, Mansi Aunty, for a beautiful synopsis as always. So, we're reading chapter 48, Swallowing of Shukra. Vyasa said, "O great sage, when Bhargava was swallowed by Rudra, what did the heroic Danvas headed by Andhaka do? Please narrate." Sanat Kumara said, "When Bhargava was swallowed by the Lord of Parvati, the Daityas gave up hopes of victory like lordly elephants bereft of trunks or cows and bulls devoid of horns. They were as futile as headless trunks, as Brahmins who have forsaken the study of the Vedas, as the living beings who have given up efforts, and as the efforts of those who are not favored by good fortune. They were lusterless and ineffectual, like women devoid of husbands, like the arrows devoid of feather, like longevity devoid of meritorious actions, and like learning in the Vedas without the observance of sacred rites. They were as powerless as innumerable activities rendered fruitless without the support of wealth, or as Kshatriyas devoid of heroism, or as the assemblage of virtue without truth. When Bhargava was taken away by Nandin and swallowed by Shiva, as he had swallowed poison, the Daityas became grief stricken, and their pride and jubilation for battle became curbed. On seeing Tuhunda, Hunda, and other Daityas devoid of enthusiasm, the courageous and valorous Andhaka replied, "By seizing Bhargava forcibly from our midst, we have been duped by Nandin. Our bodies have been rendered lifeless. With the taking away of Bhargava from us, our courage, valor, achievement, fame, strength, splendor, and exploit have been simultaneously taken away. Fie upon us, by whom the soul, an excellent preceptor of the family, worthy of the respect of the whole race, the virtual protector of all of us, and very efficient, has not been saved at the time of adversity. Hence, do not waste time. Fight with the enemy, the heroic Pramathas, after remembering the lotus like feet of the preceptor. After remembering the beneficent lotus like feet of the preceptor, I shall slay all the Pramathas along with Nandin. After killing these, along with the gods, including Indra, I shall obtain the release of Bhargava, like the yogin who releases the soul from the bondage of action. Bhargava too is a lordly yogin. If he himself comes out of Shiva's body, the rest of us are saved. Sanat Kumara said, on hearing the words of Andhaka, the powerful Danavas, fearlessly roaring like the rumbling clouds, spoke after resolving to do what was then to be thought of. The Danavas said, if we are destined to live, the Pramathas cannot overwhelm us. If it is otherwise, what avails running from the battleground, leaving our master behind? Those who leave their masters and run away, professing to be honored and desiring to be rich, will surely fall into hell, Andat Misra. After sullying their fame with the darkness of ignominy, they will forfeit their pleasure both here and hereafter. They will be slain in the battle. Of what avail are charitable gifts, austerities, and dips in holy waters if one takes bath in the holy tract of the battlefield that removes the dirt of rebirth? Sanat Kumara said, after saying these words and deciding in accordance with them, those Daityas and Danavas pounded the Pramathas in the battle. They sounded the war drums. By means of arrows, swords, thunderbolts, hard rocks, busundis, bhindipalas, and other missiles, spears, javelins, axes, skull-headed clubs, tridents, maces, staffs, and other weapons, they bit one another and wrought a great havoc. There was a great noise everywhere, produced by the drawn bows, flying arrows, the missiles, busundis, bhindipalas, and leonine roars. There was great tumult caused by the war drums, trumpets, the trumpeting sounds of elephants, and the neighing sounds of the horses. The vast space between heaven and earth was filled with loud reports, causing horripilations to the courageous as well as the cowardly. The thirsty armies on either side fainted with their cars, bursting by the loud sounds of elephants and horses, with the flagstaff and banners broken and torn, with their weapons exhausted, vomiting diverse kinds of blood, and bereft of horses, elephants, and chariots. O sage, the heroic Nandin and other Pramathas slew all Asuras and won the victory. On seeing his army being shattered here and there, Andhaka rushed at the Ganas driving in his chariot. Like the mountains hit with the thunderbolt by Indra, the Pramathas perished. Like the clouds devoid of water, they sank low. Glancing at the incoming or outgoing Pramathas, far off or at close quarters, Andhaka hit them severely with as many arrows as the hair on their bodies. On seeing the army shattered and smashed by the powerful Andhaka, Sakanda, Vinayaka, Nandin, Somanandin, and other heroic and powerful Pramathas, and Shiva's personal Ganas became furious and fought in diverse ways and very valorously. By Vinayaka, Sakanda, Nandin, Sor Nandin, Viraka, Nagameya, the powerful Veshakha, and other terrible Ganas, Andhika was rendered blind as they showered tridents, spears, and arrows incessantly. Then a great tumult arose in the midst of the armies of Pramathas and Asuras. At that great noise, Bhargava, who was within the belly of Shiva, began to wander, seeking an outlet like the unabated wind. In Shiva's body, he observed 7 worlds, including Patala. He saw the diverse worlds of Brahma, Vishnu, Indra, Aditya, and celestial damsels, as well as the battle between the Pramathas and Asuras. Wandering round and round in the belly of Shiva for 100 years, he failed to see any outlet as a wicked person fails to see a vulnerable point in a good person. Taking recourse to the yoga of Shiva, he repeated the following mantra and assumed the form of Shiva's semen. Thereafter, he bowed to Shiva and was accepted as a son by Parvati. He was made a lord of the Ganas. On seeing Bhargava come out of the path of the semen, Lord Shiva, the storehouse of mercy, laughed and said, O son of Bhrigu, since you came out of my penis in the form of the semen, you will be called Shukra henceforth. I accept you as my son. You may go if you please. Sanat Kumara said, Thus advised by the Lord, Shukra, who had the refulgence of the sun, bowed to Shiva again and eulogized him with palms joined in reverence. Shukra said, You are of infinite feet, of infinite forms, and of infinite heads, the destroyer and the auspicious. You are of infinite arms. How can I eulogize you of such form adequately? You are worthy of eulogy and of the bowing of our heads. You are the eight formed, the infinite formed, the bestower of the desires of all gods and asuras. You are the wicked and the undesirable. How can I adequately eulogize you of such a nature? Kumara said, after eulogizing Shiva thus and bowing to him again, Shukra took leave of Shiva and entered the army of the Danavas as the moon does the cluster of clouds. Thus I have narrated to you how Bhargava was swallowed by Shiva. Now listen to the mantra which was repeated by Bhargava from within the belly of Shiva. With this we conclude chapter 48. Shukrana Guruji for giving me this divine seva.